Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Adam Balderstone for another episode of Bedrock and Balderstone. And we're starting a new segment. I don't know what you would call it, but like we're doing a new thing where we're going to be doing Farscape. So like kind of like we did with Babylon 5 last year, we decided Farscape would be an interesting one. I know Adam, it's similar too because Adam knows more about the show than I do. I know nothing about the show. In fact, apparently I've been confusing it with Firefly in my mind. So I have my expectations going in were way
different.
off.
They are both shows about people on a spaceship, but very, very different in every other respect.
What must have confused me is you know how like gamer and science fiction fandom is. They both cross my feed in the same way. Do you know what I mean? On social media.
Yeah.
So that's why I must have, and maybe the color, maybe like the coloration of the shows, like the tones of the ships looked similar enough to me that I was just, but Firefly is a show that never impressed me whenever I would see glimmers of it. And this is a show I had a much different reaction to. And we did the premiere. So we just did the premiere episode.
It makes more sense now because I remember you were almost a little off-put by the amount of hype around the show, and I'm like, really, Farscape had that much hype? I've never heard that much. It's got a cult following, but it's kind of a sleeper hit. But I was like, okay, whatever.
No, I was completely confusing it with Firefly. which took a little bit of research this morning for me to figure out. I know that's probably like bad. Like I should probably know the difference between Farscape and Firefly, but it's one of these. They're both shows I've never paid any attention to, so I didn't really.
Yes, so we like to alternate between things you know about and things I know about. The fact that you didn't know this just makes you more relevant to the role in the reviews.
It also makes it more interesting for me too, because I didn't know how I was going to feel going in. Like part of doing a show like this that we do is we have to watch these things whether we like them or not. Do you know what I mean? Like if I pick a show and Adam doesn't like 10 episodes of the show, he's still got to sit there and watch those episodes, and it's fine. But like, experience is always different, and this was a really enjoyable premiere because I really liked the I there was never a moment during this premiere where I was bored. I was always like, ooh, what's going to happen next, and ooh, what's that, and I was surprised at every turn, maybe because I was expecting a Firefly sort of thing, and even then all I have to go on Firefly is what I've imagined based on what I see, like little glimpses of. But I was not expecting it to begin with like a shuttle launch. Do you know what I mean? That surprised me. And then I was not expecting this electromagnetic wave to suck him in to someplace. And then because it started with a shuttle launch, I thought, oh, he's going to get sucked into someplace that's really like hard science fiction-y. But it plopped him into like a Star Wars Jim Henson's workshop type setting that had a bit of a 90s vibe. But it felt really 70s to me too, in a good way, like classic sort of 70s gritty science fiction stylings like Star Wars and things like that, with like where the machinery's all dirty and the creatures are. I mean, they used a combination, I think, of CG and puppets, or animatronics or something. But again,
it's puppetry. Yeah,
but there was like a Dark Crystal look to some of the monsters. There was a Star Wars look to some of the monsters. It definitely felt like Jim Henson and Spielberg and and that crowd had their fingerprint on it a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's literally the Henson Creature Workshop doing the effects.
Oh, okay.
So Brian Henson, Jim Henson's son, is the special effects guy for this show.
Okay, so they weren't just aping that look. It was actually properly that look. Okay.
It's the look.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously George Lucas, there's like a George Lucas feel to some of this. So just in terms of being in the right zone for like what I grew up with, it sort of worked. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay. And I even felt like, oh, it kind of feels a little bit like The Last Starfighter and stuff like that to me at times. There's and I liked the way the guy is sort of sucked into this other section of the cosmos and has to adapt right away. but all of the trappings are familiar enough that you grab them easily. Like the evil empire is you know,
the peacekeepers. Yeah, you just get it.
Yeah, you get it right away.
Yeah, and I really like the. So I mean, it's kind of the Buck Rogers kind of thing to an extent, with having the guy shot into a different world, but it was, you know, an astronaut specifically in both cases. But I like the way in this show there's also kind of a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of element, where it's like he's not as hapless as Arthur Dent by any means. He is a much more capable character, but there's still kind of that vibe of everyone else treating him like, oh, it was this weirdo from this backwater planet kind of thing.
No, and I like the aliens. A lot of times, like, you never know how that's going to land. You know what I mean? Like the aliens all. Also, I kind of felt like there might have been a little bit of a D&D thing going on with the party they were assembling initially. I don't know if that's just me picking up on it.
That is not just you.
Okay.
I've heard that theory elsewhere. Yeah,
okay.
You got a cleric and you got a fighter. And
okay, yeah. But it wasn't done in a way that made me angry towards the show. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's not heavy-handed. I mean, it's like I said, it's ambiguous. I don't know if that's really what they were thinking, but you can see it there.
Yeah, because the woman's a priest, and the warrior looks like a dwarf to me. It's sort of like imagine if a dwarf and Hulk Hogan were fused together with bird parts, and that's kind of like.
And squid parts too.
I'm probably not familiar enough with the race, but like I was just honing in on the beak. He has like a beaky nose that.
He's kind of got those tentacles going down. So I think the beak is really more like a squid beak. Is what they're going for.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I think squids have beaks. Some do at least, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, the Kraken definitely does.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. But
I like the characters. I like that they have, what's her name? Aaron's son. She's part of the Peacekeepers, and so it adds an interesting element to, like, okay, there's this person. I mean, again, that's a very 70s thing. It's kind of, you know, you can have like a Mr. Smith type character, or I guess it's much earlier than 70s, but you know what I mean, like a shady character who you're not sure if they're on the side of the heroes or not. And I don't know how her story is going to pan out. Maybe by episode 2 they figure that all out. But it seemed like they set it up so that we're never really going to know until well into the show where her loyalties really are.
Well, I think that taking that a step further too, the fact that there are, you know, all the other aliens are escaped prisoners too that have just started working together as this escape attempt. Nobody on this show has any loyalty to each other, but they have a good reason to work together, which is just, it's, you know, because as someone that in my teen years, like, watched Star Trek Next Generation, which had the rule, all the main characters must always get along. Yeah. It's like any show where there's Babylon 5 was another example where plenty of the characters were at odds. This is another show where everybody has to work together, but they don't have to like each other, and they don't have to agree on what they need to do. Yeah. And it throughout the whole series, it adds a lot to it.
No, I think that worked, and I noticed that right away, because like even in the first interaction, what's his name? Ka Diargo? Is that the warrior guy?
Yeah, Dargo.
Dargo. Sorry. And what's the priestess's name?
Zahn is just what she goes by. She's got, I think Pa Zoto is her title, but Zahn is fine.
So when they first interacted, and she was almost like seducing him a little bit, I was like, okay, this is like, I don't know who I'm supposed to, like, one of these people might be a little sinister here, and I'm not sure which one. And by the end of the scene, I think I was suspecting that Zahn might be exploiting his curiosity about, what was it, the fourth
sensation.
The fourth sensation. In order to manipulate him. And then also what's the other guy? The little tiny Muppet guy that's
Rigel.
Rigel, the guy, he's the one who says, I help you now and you'll help me later, right?
That's like a great prison type thing. It's like, you're new here. I'll look after you, you know. But
so yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that they have set up, and I don't know, it was just fun. It was an enjoyable episode. I was expecting, I think, something really goofy or something really, really serious. And
it's both.
Yeah, it's well, it just felt like a good, solid kind of adventure episode to me. Do you know what I mean? It didn't. I enjoyed it, and I think I'm very interested to see where this is heading. I don't know how I feel by the as the episodes unfold, but right now this was, to me, it felt like, what it felt like. I have a history of getting interested in a show when it first premieres, only to have the show canceled after like 5 episodes or something. It felt like one of those shows where...
that's Firefly you're talking about now. But but yeah. I mean, this goes on there's 4 seasons, and then there's a mini series after the 4 seasons. So these are good old fashioned 90s, early 2000s season lengths, not the modern version of shorter seasons. So yeah, there's plenty of the show, and it gets better over the entire course of the first season. Like I said, it starts good, but I feel like it gets better over the course of the first season, and it stays good. It's not a show that ever got a chance to decline. So.
Okay, that's sometimes good. I mean, that's like a sometimes it's better if they end while they're still in their prime.
Yeah. Well, this show got cut off actually for economic reasons, because it was made in Australia, and basically it was getting money provided to it by the Sci-Fi Channel, and then the economy kind of shifted, and the Australian economy took off, and suddenly it was a lot more expensive to make things in Australia, and Sci-Fi Channel was like, okay, we're not paying for this anymore, and that was the end of the show.
Okay, so, no, that can affect things. That's definitely I think that is interesting. It's Australian, and you mentioned that I felt like they were using a lot of sort of generic, neutral accents for the cast that was on the escape vessel. Well,
Zahn has a very Australian accent. So does Rigel. Dargo is an Australian actor, but he's definitely doing another accent. Okay. He's kind of leaning more on the American side. And Crichton is American. The guy that Ben Browder, the guy that plays him, he's the one American in the cast.
I might have just not picked up on it, but I'll try to listen.
Well, there's different kinds of Australian accents too. I mean, I'm an Australian, so there's accents some people who don't live in Australia don't think of as Australian accents.
Oh, so I thought you lost your accent. So is that's
no, I lost my accent.
Oh, okay.
I no, I do not have an Australian accent.
Yeah, I always call Adam a stealth Australian, because I had no idea until he mentioned it to me, and he's like, I think most listeners probably assume you're Canadian or American when they hear you, but Adam is from Australia. And yeah, so yeah, I know the stereotypical Australian accents. Do you know what I mean? Like, those are the ones that like Mel Gibson and what was the guy's name? Paul Hogan, was that the who was Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah, Paul Hogan.
Paul Hogan. Yeah, those are like the two that are like my go-to Australian accents. And Mel Gibson, I don't think has his anymore. So.
You're gonna get to learn all kinds of Australian accents over the course of watching this show. And the guy who plays Captain Crace, he's a New Zealander, so he's not.
See, New Zealand accents to me always sound British for some reason. I always make that mistake. Yeah, and I know that they don't sound like British accents, but whenever I meet somebody from New Zealand, I assume they're from England, and then they tell me they're from New Zealand, and I just don't have an ear for it, I guess.
It's just I don't know. I mean, it's not like people who aren't from America can always distinguish where in America people from. So
well, you know what it's probably like? It's probably kind of like the Boston and the New York accent are not that far apart. They're both kind of non-rhotic, and they have they drop a lot of similar letters, but they're different, and you can hear it if you're from the area. But yeah, so. Would you say then that the show has an Australian character to it, or is it?
It definitely does through the acting. I mean, I would say that there are definitely Australian things about it. I mean, you know, 'cause obviously it's got Americans involved in it too, so it's not it's not uniquely Australian, but I feel like there's definitely Australianness to it.
Well, I feel like too there was a period of time that was around this time when we got like a slew of Australian actors who made it really big in you know, like internationally, right? Like isn't Jeffrey Rush from Australia? And is Kate Blanchett Australian or is she English?
No, she's Australian.
She's Australian. I know there were a few others that I'm pretty sure there were quite a few others around the same time. But I'm curious, when you say through the acting, what do you mean by that? Like, is there?
I just feel there's a lot of Australian personality in the show. I mean, you know, basically like Zahn, she just feels very, very Australian to me.
Okay.
So does Aaron Sun, for that matter, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just.
Can I ask, just because it's not so, you know, again, I'm not as familiar with it as you. What is like like to you, what does Australian character mean? Like Australian personality? I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't think I could answer. I'll think about that for a future podcast. Okay. Perhaps I'll think of things that strike me as Australian, but I can't come up with anything right now. It's just more of a feeling.
No, I know what you mean. Like sometimes like somebody will be from Boston, and it's like, oh yeah, I can see that he's from Boston.
Yeah.
But I can't really pinpoint the specifics of why.
Yeah. I mean, it's more than just the accent, but it's there's just the way people say things. I mean, and I don't know. It's yeah, but yeah, you know, getting back to that scene between Dargo and Zahn you were talking about too. I like that because because Dargo is mainly this really tough, has to show he's tough all the time character, you know, trying to intimidate everyone around him, and it's like. The scene with him and Zahn is Zahn kind of putting him in an uneasy vibe. He's kind of awkward and almost shy during that scene, and it's a great way in the pilot of showing that, hey, these characters have a little more to them than just their, you know. It just gives both characters a lot of depth, I feel.
No, I got that because he's kind of the I'm the warrior character of the show,
yeah.
Like, which is you know, a trope in the genre, but there's clearly like an insecurity underlying it, and she was even able to expose it. I again, my hearing's very bad, and I don't know if I heard everything she was saying, but I thought she said to him when he said like I've been in two battlefronts, or like he was involved in two wars,
two battle campaigns,
and I think she said like only two, right? I might have misheard her,
no, you heard right.
Yeah, and so it kind of deflated his ego, and so she's definitely one of these characters that she uses empathy and understanding in a way that can defeat people. Do you know what I mean? It's a very interesting personality.
Yeah.
In fact, if I had one complaint about the show, it would be this: the John Crichton character to me, he's a scientist, but they do the thing they always do in these shows, where the scientist guy looks like he plays football. And
I know what you're saying, but I actually like it in this case over the course of the show. They do. He really feels like the guy who does play football, but is also smart and like plays D&D too. You know,
okay.
So over the course of the show, I feel they really kind of get that right. It's like I could say he's actually reminds me of people I've known.
Okay.
So it's like because you know your criticism is valid, but I feel like this is a show that takes that and does it right.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. No.
Like,
I'm very eager to see what they do because I'll keep an eye out because I noticed it, especially in the last scene where I was like, wait, this guy's like you can see, like he's wearing a shirt, you can see he's like definitely goes to the gym, and I'm like, and I remember as I'm watching the scene, I'm like, oh man, I could never look like that, and then I'm like, wait a second, what's this scientist doing with like the, you know, this football player physique? So
To be fair, he is an astronaut too, which requires a decent amount of physical fitness and
That's true.
science knowledge too.
That's true,
so.
but even then, like astronauts,
I know, not
rarely...
scientists aren't usually that buff.
This is like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like I don't know if it quite gets to that territory because we're just going by what we see under the shirt, but it seemed like it was more muscles than you normally see on a scientist. But again, if they're aware of it and they use it in an interesting way, that might be a cool thing for the show to do. So I'll keep an eye out for it. And again, it was like my one complaint. Like I didn't have anything in the show that emerged that bothered me this episode. There was nothing. There were things I could see people maybe being critical of, but they were things that wouldn't have bothered me about a show like this. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was fine with it.
It gives you a nice. I feel like the show has a really nice aesthetic overall too. Like when you get to go down to the planet, the commerce planet they visit and so on, gives you a good taste of what the show looks like going forward too. I feel like.
No, I really like the way the show looks. It feels a lot like Star Wars to me, like just the general look and sort of the way that, like the ease with which they transition from one place to another and things like that. It also kind of reminds me a little bit of remember that movie Pitch Black?
I do.
Do you remember I forget if it was a sequel or if there was like a third one, but there was another movie where they expanded on the
Chronicles of Riddick.
Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like that movie. So
I never actually saw that one. So.
Okay. I quite liked it, but bits of this reminded me kind of the Chronicles of Riddick thing as well. And also, what was that recent one that came up even? Guardians of the Galaxy. It had a little bit of a Guardians of the Galaxy feel.
Well, actually, Ben Browder is in the second Guardians of the Galaxy. The guy who plays Crichton is in that. I mean, I remember I heard one of my best friends was watching Farscape at the time, the first trailer. I'd been trying to talk him into watching it, and he watched it and was really, really enjoying it. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer dropped, and I was just like, the first trailer, they kind of have like the kind of mugshot thing going on with all the characters and so on, and I was like, this is really channeling Farscape a lot. And he was like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the second Guardians of the Galaxy.
I haven't either. I just know that Ben Browder is in it. So
did you see the first Guardians of the Galaxy?
I did see the first one. Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the first one, and I don't know why I never saw the second one. You and I will probably have to make a point of you seeing the Chronicles of Riddick and me seeing the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy.
That'll work. But I don't know. I don't get out to the movies much anymore. That's why I never saw the second one. So.
Well, I always wait for them to come out on Blu-ray or on demand or something. Anyways, but I just got lazy in my. No, I didn't get lazy. I was watching other things because we have all these shows that we have to watch. So it was.
Yeah, exactly. I have a pretty full plate with Wuxia Weekend and everything. But
but yeah. So no, I quite liked it. I really I was pleasantly surprised, and I was nervous going in. I really was, because like you could feel my reluctance, I think, because you mentioned it at the start of the podcast.
Yeah, like I kind of pushed you on this, because once again I was like, I'm pretty sure like this is going to appeal to your aesthetics and sense of humor and stuff. So and that was like too. I didn't commit you to doing the podcast. I said, I'm sending you. Here's the first episode. Yeah. Watch it, and you can decide.
No, and the thing is, I got it. I was like, well, like on the one hand, Adam was very right about Babylon 5. Like that was like it couldn't have been more right. I was like, but my what I'm imagining the show is going to be like, I can't imagine it. And I kind of tend to do that with shows. Like I imagine something that's completely awful before I even watch it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was a nice surprise. I really was not expecting that opening to be a shuttle launch like that. And even some of the quirkiness of the way that opening sequence was shot, I kind of enjoyed. Do you know what I mean? Right down to like the really douchebag looking best friend who was involved in the
who's doing a terrible American accent. That is like a classic bad Australian doing an American accent.
He looked like the guy from what was the name of that? Starship Troopers. He looked like the lead actor from Starship Troopers a little bit.
Yeah.
He kind of has like a villainous look in his eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like there was a glint in his eyes that just kind of bothered me. And his hair was like too gelled or something. He just kind of,
Yeah, no, there's just a weird vibe to him. Yeah, and of course, then there's Crichton's father. He's played by Kent McCord, who was one of the lead actors in the beloved series Battlestar Galactica 1980. So.
Well, he was fine. I mean, he was a little bit stiff.
Oh, no, I'm not knocking his acting. I was saying I'm just bringing up his sci-fi credentials, such as they are.
But again, it was it was sort of one of these. Again, it was like they're just getting their footing on the show. You can tell, and that scene is kind of like the standard father and son sort of kind of moment that these shows tend to have. But I did like that they gave him the ring, and that the ring was the thing that allowed him to escape. I like that it starts with this idea they have of this theory of again, my hearing was bad, so I missed a lot of the techno babble. I don't know how sound the theory was, but basically they were going to try to use the Earth's gravity in a particular way to accelerate and make interstellar travel possible. And he's able to use that later in the premiere to escape from the Peacekeepers. So.
Yeah, I mean, slingshotting off a planet to accelerate is sound. It's interesting because they.
But isn't that how we already do? Isn't slingshotting already?
Yeah, it's not. It's really that's the one thing. Is it's like, well, it's not that controversial a theory. So
I thought what they were saying is they were doing it in a different way. I thought like there was like a different mathematical theory that they were operating on that would make even faster travel possible.
It's possible they are, because we don't get too much detail on it. Maybe if you freeze frame the article that the friend holds up, it'll have all the facts in there. But I don't know.
Yeah, they were okay. So I thought I was missing details. Maybe they were just deliberately vague, and that's what was.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, this show there is some science on the show, but this is much deeper into the realm of science fantasy than hard science.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. But that's kind of what I like about it is when the show starts, it looks like a hard science fiction show, and then it shifts into like Jim Henson's workshop. And also I really do like it's kind of like you were saying, like you have like the Buck Rogers and like a lot of these older shows. There was often the premise of the person starting on Earth and getting stuck somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And I always thought that was a really great premise for it's kind of like a Monster of the Week type show. Do you know what I mean? Like you get like or just like a any episodic television really. It just opens up a lot of possibilities because the character's always trying to get home, and so I it was refreshing to see that as a plot device again.
And this show makes very, very good use of it, I think, and I like. I like one thing I like about this episode is just the closing scene where you kind of have Crichton heading back to his room, and he has the rough encounter with Dargo, and Aaron Sun's kind of like making that really ominous conversation with him about choosing your friends carefully, and how Crace is, you're out of his jurisdiction, but, he thinks you killed his brother. You think you're going to be okay?
Aaron's son reminded me a lot of Patti Smith for some reason. And so that's all I kept thinking of every time her character popped up. But I like the characters. I really do. I think the characters are we going to get a bigger cast as this goes on, or does this remain the...
We will. There's at least two characters I would consider crucial to the show that will show up over the course of the season.
And do we lose anybody that is important? Like, do we get any cast changes like we got with Babylon 5, or is this one more?
Not for a long time.
Okay.
Not for a long time.
Okay.
There are cast shifts over the course of the show.
But everybody feels very easy to track in the show. So that's good. That's one of the warning signs that I'm not gonna have an easy time with the show is when the characters aren't easy to track. Then I get nervous. But yeah, no, it does the wuxia thing where every character is so stark that I get a firm handle on them. Even if they introduce 12, I'll be fine.
Like I said, it's good in that they're all very stark, but they still have layers to them at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not, which is good for a TV series, because that gives characters unpredictability, even though we're seeing them every week.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I think I'm looking forward to this, and I think we should probably pause here, and next week we'll pick up on the first episode, I guess, right? Because this was the premiere episode. So the next episode is it considered episode 2, or is it considered?
Actually, I just looked this up. This actually, I called it a pilot, but it's not a pilot because it was going to cost Henson so much money to make the effects simply for the first episode. They had to get a deal to do an entire season. So, like, if we're going to build any of this, any of these sets and monsters and everything, we need to have a season deal. So it's actually a rare case where there was never a pilot. It just got a deal to make the whole first season. So this was actually episode 1 here. So.
Okay, so we're gonna do what? Episode 2 and 3 is what we were thinking.
We'll do episode 2 and 3. Yes.
Okay. And also, me and Adam are going to be doing another show probably on Sunday where we will. It's a television series based off of the Gulong story, The 11th Son, and I've seen a few of the episodes already. When it first came out, it definitely deviates a lot from the source material, but it should be interesting. And so we'll probably cover the first episode there, and I think it'll be nice because Adam's had a lot of exposure to Louis Cha material, but less to the Gulong stuff. And Gulong is a little bit sexier and grittier than Louis Cha, so it should be interesting.
Forward to it. Yeah.
And of course on Friday we're going to be doing, I believe, the Supreme Swordsman with Derek Yee. And we probably have other things lined up that I'm just escaping. Oh, yeah, Wuxia Workshop. I believe we're going to be doing Duel to the Death on Thursday. So people can stay tuned for that as well. And our Patreon, follow the link, check it out. Feel free to support it. There are reward tiers. We use it. Sometimes we have to get movies in Blu-ray or DVD form, or somebody's mic breaks or whatever. It's useful for that sort of thing. So the support is helpful. So we will head out, and we will be back on next time.